Thank you all for coming this evening. I'd like to first acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, the Kulin Nations, the land that we gather here this evening, and pay my respects to past, present and emerging, and their continuing connection to the land, water and air. I'll go straight into our meeting. So this evening, I first also, do we have any apologies this evening? No? Okay, do we have any, next on the item is any disclosures of conflicts of interest? Peter?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Through you, just declare a conflict of interest in relation to item 7.1, which is a confidential item tonight, the CEO and employment matters. Thank you. I'll leave the meeting at that before that item.
Okay. And the next item is occupational health and safety. I just remind councillors that this is a safety and our responsibility, that this is a workplace, whether we're online or we're in person. We'll go over to consideration of reports. First, we have on 6.1, which is the quarter financial report ending for the 31st of January 2023, the performance and mid-year forecast update. Councillors, over to you. Should I ask our officers if there are any questions that our councillors would like to ask? Councillor Hannan and then Councillor Messina.
Thanks, Mayor, and hi everyone. I just had a question through you, Mayor, to our management. Appreciate the clarifying statement and the update that's been made to the report on the Q2 financial report. Just wondering if there's any other changes or any substantial changes that have been made in comparison to the version that was discussed at our meeting on Monday. Thank you.
May I ask Jodie Watson to answer that, or Sadiq Mohammed?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Hannan. Through you, Mayor Williams. I can confirm that the minor change that was made to the report was to ensure that there was a reference relating to a statement that provides that there is no revised budget required, having been assessed by the CEO. There were also several deletions of a reference to a procurement report that was not attached to the report, that had also not been picked up. So they are the only changes, councillors.
Thank you. Any further questions with you, Councillor Hannan? Okay, then I'll go over to Councillor Messina. Thank you, and then Councillor Dimitriadis.
Thank you. I understand there was another error, another change, and that was the word transposition to human error. So I'd like to point that out. Through you, Mayor Williams, I'd like to also ask, does Darebin City Council use the accrual or the cash accounting system, please?
Over to our officers.
Sadiq, we can't hear.
Maybe the volume needs to be turned up.
I just checked it. Oh,
we can hear you now.
Okay, so okay, great. Okay, thank you. Through you, Mayor, that depends on the kind of a grant we receive. If the grant comes to us and it is subject to a performance.
I didn't ask about the grant. My question is, I'm sorry to interject, does Darebin City Council use the cash or the accrual accounting system?
Both. We use both. Yeah, it's both.
Okay. And can I ask through your supplementary, Mayor Williams, in relation to when a grant is received and it's prepaid before its intention, is that recorded through the balance sheet or the income and the expense?
That depends on the kind of a grant that we have received. If the grant that comes to us has a performance obligations attached to it, then we recognize it in the balance sheet. If it does not have a performance obligation, then we go to the accounting standard. The accounting standard that governs it is a AASB 1058, and as per this accounting standard, we recognize it straight as a revenue.
So is it normal practice that there is a register of what's gone in and what's gone out and what procedure's been taken? And moving forward, how do we as councillors and the community, how are we monitoring the errors that have been done through human errors through the system, and how we assure that they're not going to happen in the future? Can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So sorry about that. I suppose your question is particularly in relation to the Bandura Park error that has happened in the budget.
Yes, and the grant. So in terms of how do we keep registers so they don't happen again? What assurances does the community and council have that it won't happen again?
So I will start with grant, and then I'll go to Bandura Park. In grant, when the grant is received from us, all grants are usually some kind of memorandum of understanding or contract. It's great. The accounting treatment is ascertained, and then you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Maybe if you take your headphones off.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So I'll start again. With the grant, when the grant comes to us, usually it's subject to memorandum of understanding or subject to a contract. The contract is read out, the accounting treatment is ascertained, and the grant is recorded straight into our financial record. This financial record serves as a subsidiary ledger as well, and then it keeps track of all the grants that we have received and all the grants that we have, and the part of the grants that we have utilized as well. The second part of your question was in relation to the Bandura Park error. We have made sure this year when the budget is captured, it goes to the finance and it gets consolidated and goes through the Q&A, which is our quality assurance piece that we have introduced. Once the budget has gone through the QA with the finance department, it will go back to the departmental manager through the GMs, and the GMs and departmental manager will review their budget. They sign off on the budget, and then will come back to us for us to once again consolidate and then to upload it into our financial system.
Thank you, Sadiq. If I may, Mayor Williams, I have a supplementary question. Was the subsidiary ledger in place prior to this quarter or this term that you've actually lodged the reports on, Q2 reports? So was that in place prior, or is that a new process?
The subsidiary ledgers are always in place as long as the council exists. The process that we have introduced is actually in relation to the Bandura Park, which you are referring to.
No, I'm actually referring to the grants now, Sadiq, not the transposition error. So I'm going back to the subsidiary ledger that you mentioned that indicated the grants process. That is a process to check numbers. Is that a new process, or was that in place prior? Given that
in place prior.
Okay, so what assurances do we have that subsidiary ledgers will be followed through moving forward? I just want to flag that.
Yeah, sure. So every month we go through our balance sheet reconciliation process, whereby our subsidiary ledgers gets reconciled with the amount in the general ledger, and that's how we pick up if there is any variances inside.
Thank you, Sadiq. Thank you, Mayor Williams.
Sorry to misunderstand your question.
That's okay. Thank you.
Councillor Dimitriadis.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, I wanted to thank the CEO for taking this item away and withdrawing the report mid-debate to provide a report now that it addresses the requirements of the Local Government Act. But I did have a question, just a clarification. Could we receive some additional clarification on how this can be both a revised budget for council and that a revised budget process is not required?
Sorry, Councillor. Sorry.
I'll answer that through you, Mayor. And Sadiq, please help me if I get it wrong. We have introduced for next financial year a much more stringent quarterly budget process. So we're already looking at a much more stringent quarterly budget process. And I want to make sure that we're much more transparent in terms of each quarterly report that comes back to Councillor Demetriadis. So that's the revised budget process for next financial year. That will also include checking our financial assumptions as we go, as I previously described to Council in our budget workshops. I'm not sure if I answered this first part of your question, but certainly we're planning a revised budget process to check all aspects of the budget, including our compliance each quarter in starting next financial year.
Oh, so I guess in the report it just says that a revised budget process is not required. However, I believe it is required in the future too, going forward.
I'm sorry. I think the statement says a revised budget through Mayor. A revised budget for this year is not required. In other words, we have sufficient.
It says budget process. Sorry, through you, Mayor.
Okay, I'll check for you, Councillor Major. So I've got it in front of me. Can you clarify that, Jody, whilst I'm looking for it? I thought I saw it earlier.
I can confirm that in the officer recommendation, it notes and makes a statement that the Chief Executive Officer, as required under Section 97.3 of the Local Government Act, is of the opinion a revised budget is not required. That's what's in the officer recommendation, but it is also stated within the report in several places.
Oh, I think there's a typo in the fourth dot point of the executive summary through your Mayor. I think it should say a revised budget is not required as opposed to a revised budget process. You're correct to pick that up, Councillor Demetriadis. The phrase in the recommendation is the right one. The word process should probably not be in that fourth dot point of the executive summary, just to clarify.
Sadiq,
Thank you.
I believe you had your hand up there, Sadiq. Did you want to answer or clarify anything there?
No, that's fine. I agree with Peter.
Okay. Thank you, Peter.
For the record, Mayor, I'm happy to delete the word process from the officer's report just for accuracy, and maybe we can record that I'll in the minutes that I will delete that word process in the fourth dot point. Please, sure. Councillor Demetriadis is happy with that. She's got a hand up again.
Yes, sorry. In the legislation, it talks about a process, I believe, rather than just the budget, the revised budget.
Section 97. I've lost my video. Through you, Mayor, I believe sections 97.3 asked me to give a statement that a revised budget is not required,
okay.
But because I read the legislation on Monday night, and and that's what the recommendation says. Jody, are you able to confirm that, or Sadiq?
Yes, I'll just pick it up.
Give me just a minute, and I'll check the Act directly for you.
Yes, I'm checking as well.
I'm pretty sure it said revised budget.
It does. A statement by the Chief Executive Officer as to whether a revised budget is or may be required.
And for Council's information, through you, Mayor, that's only a requirement on the Q2 review. So that as you get mid-year, if you need to adjust your budget to land at a good place at the end of the financial year. So for Q1 and Q3 reviews, that statement's not required, which is why it talks about a revised budget. I hope that answers your question, Councillor Demetriadis.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification. That's great.
Thank you.
Councillor Demetriadis, do you have any further questions?
No, thank you.
If there are no further questions, councillors, I'm happy to enter into the debate if you wish. Do I have a mover on the item? Councillor Hannan and Councillor McCarthy. Thank you as a seconder. Councillor Hannan, you're on mute.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to add to my statements made on Monday on the report, other than just to once again thank the staff for all the work that's gone into this report. Thank them for the additional clarification that's been provided. I'm very confident that it satisfies legal requirements, as well as giving a a fair representation to the community where we're at. And on that basis, I put forward the report to be approved. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councillor McCarthy, as a seconder.
Oh, thanks, Mayor. As the seconder, I will reserve my right in the interest of time.
Okay. Are there any other speakers, councillors, would like to speak either for or against? If not, over to you, Councillor McCarthy.
I have nothing else to add, Mayor. Happy to put it to the vote.
No problem. All those in favour? That is being carried unanimously. Yep, Gaetano. Thank you. We'll go over to the next agenda item. Let's see. Okay, apologies. Technology. So our next agenda item is the consideration reports to be considered confidential. So we will have to go into camera for that item. And Peter has a conflict.
Thank you, Mayor. Just quickly, I declare a conflict in relation to item 7.1. I'll leave the meeting at this point before you go into confidence. Good
That'd be
evening,
great.
councillors.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, I had lots of hands go up all at the one time. I can't see Tom anymore. I can see Councillor Messina and Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Messina?
Apologies, Mayor. I'm just confirming if you would like to cease the live stream.
Yes, but don't we have to go into camera for that and then we cease live stream, or do we do it the other way around?
We need to vote on the motion in public, Mayor.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So do I have a mover to go into to stop the live stream and go into camera? Councillor Messina? No. Councillor McCarthy?
Mayor, Councillor Messina is moving to move that we're moving camera. I'm seconding.
Yep. All those in favour? That's been voted on unanimously. So we'll stop the live stream and we'll go into camera. Thank you.